have Esteban Rodríguez. He's the author of Dusk Dust, forthcoming from Hub City Press, and the micro-chapbook Soledad. His poetry has appeared or is forthcoming in the Gettysburg Review, New England Review, Puerto del Sol, TriQuarterly, the Rumpus, and elsewhere. He lives with his family and teaches in Austin. Welcome, Esteban.
Telenovela. I was born to a line of housewives obsessed with living more dramatically. Devoted mothers immersed in Mexican telenovelas. Those afternoon marathons built on the same basic plot. Handsome Latin boy falls for gorgeous Latin girl. Jealous ex-lovers scheme to break them apart. Their struggle aggravated by conniving aunts and uncles, pregnant maids and mistresses, rich and misleading stepfathers usurping everyone's camera time, eager to push their way into frame when the scene shifts to a shirtless farmhand, slowly pans across his young and hairless chest, those polished blots of sweat dilating my mother's eyes with subplots of haystack sex. To sit and watch another episode was an episode in and of itself. The rising action of her middle-aged and plus-sized body rising to adjust the foil-wrapped antenna. To smack the hiccup static from the box, catch the out-of-wedlock drama, its sharp and sudden orchestra coupled with another Julio, tu eres el papá. Because every twist fed her confidence, she nudged me to lift my shoes off the couch, mimicking every multitasking mother who controlled the show, women she imagined herself to be, as I imagined her inner monologue saying she wanted out. Of courage to break the spell of having a household to clean, of cooking for a husband whose sun-branded skin secreted wet cement, filled the kitchen with a scent she tried to kill with pine salt and potpourri. I could see her taking mental notes on how to fake a death, on the latest ways to use mascara, comb her knotted hair, hold back the waterworks when boy was losing girl, or when again a novella was about to end. And she turned to me as if I were the boy cast solely for his smile, to provide some sort of cute and comic relief, or comments so innocently profound they'd linger beyond the screen, beyond the shadows of the kitchen table, where she helped me master English with her broken English, reading story after story like lines off a script, and rehearsing every scene where the mother sighs, hugs her son, accepts the role she knows she has to play. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you, Matty, for hosting this, and thank you, Malvern, for having such a gorgeous venue. I'm going to read this next poem titled Dogs. I grew up in the Rio Grande Valley, and there was a lot of stray dogs, so this is sort of like my experience with them. Yowling, as if the space beneath our house bears a new one every night. They slither out, one by one, against a pre-dawn haze of gnats and light. A pack of mutts with their younger mutts trailing close behind. The top of their muzzles ripe with mucus leaking from their eyes. Their spines cloaked in ashen earth, and sprinkled bits of splintered oak gnawed by termites beneath the porch. That excavated den they've made their home. These are far from the lassies trained for TV shows, the barnyard family pets, or work dogs guiding goats from the pasture in, but strays exhausting every place they've ever been, like nomads trudging through some Bible desert, still without a place to go, aware that every inch of here is bruised with thirst, and that the ground brands their feet with scalded mounds of dirt. But I am just the boy, squatting low, crawling far beneath the steps, placing slabs of ham beneath against the broken bricks, concerned their feral habits haven't fully formed, that they'll wander all day without a thing to eat, no bone or chow placed inside a bowl, that the mothers of the pack will return with teats still leather black, wary that as I belly out this wooden womb, they'll have to worry about another mouth that isn't full. A lot of this book concerns itself with animals, either stray animals or animals that felt like part of the family. So this next one is titled Foul. No killing cone for this one. No quick and numb routine hoisting its body upside down. Claws scratching the air, wings tunneled inside the flashing. A feather full of impulse, struggle, and my father's knife sawing off its neck, bleeding like chickens do when it's time to bleed out. No, this one's mine, my Elena. This one he picks up, cradles in his arms, and the sweaty sleeves still fresh with after scents of hay, manure. I couldn't hear what she heard from where I was standing, the humid afternoon spread across our backyard, his head tilted, lips kissing the wet ruffle I kissed before he came out. Before the screens slammed shut and my mother's shouts echoed to a stop. But there was nothing he could say I couldn't see in his hands. Louse feeding on her belly, pores unplucked, punch red scars quilted with scabs as rough as tar, her pecs so sharp and accidental. Perhaps it was accident that brought us both together, that brought my father past the point of feeling sorry for his dilemma. Twisting Elena's neck as if he were twisting mine, slow, severely delicate, looking away as he squeezed and snapped, waited for her clucks to go limp. The sun smeared along the wavy horizon, trembling like a spasm. This next one is titled Goats, the second to last one. I'm really fascinated with goats for some reason. You can ask my wife. Our friends asked us to write a wedding poem for them, and they ended up writing about goats. It's not this poem, but has the same spirit. Of course, I had to believe there was purpose to everything. The 5 a.m. chicken feed routine, the cleaning of the shit-caked cages, the careful cow milking, and the carrying of runt pigs thirsty for their mother's teats. And there was the goats I thought of more as ponies when I released them to the hills, my favorite scene for the least favorite part of my day. Imagine a childhood of goats, each one vocal in their own goatish way. And imagine learning the word castration, how sharp it sounded, how my father taught me how to hoist them by their legs, wide and firm, but calm enough not to resemble violence. We were cutting off their jewels after all, our hands needed to be silent. The first few times I expected a joke, something about how bad it must feel. And when I tried to crack one of my own, he shook his head, said he was glad they were still too young to feel, that they wouldn't remember a thing. But I remember how he clamped the tissue with the illustrator, adjusted the rubber band while the buckling cried the way bucklings cried when they were out in the pasture, bending their soft backs beneath the barbed wire fence, aware of what was coming when I caught up to them, grazed my fingers through the ears and nape, then carried their soft bodies back to the wooden table, where I gripped their hooves, flipped them upside down, and from where I watched throughout the struggle, the moon on the drought-riddled plains, swollen, throbbing, and ready to fall. Now read this last one. Father's Day was just last week, and so this one is about Father's Day, or at least goes out to all the fathers and grandfathers as well. This one's titled Golden Years. Because nursing homes were for gringos, my grandfather spent his last years on the couch, idle, silent, drooling as he watched novellas, old episodes of Cops, and as hour after hour passed, never once blinking, even when I snuck up, flashed my silliest faces in front of his eyes. Like a monk or the Queen's Guard, he remained stoic, lost in his thoughts, and indifferent when my father, out of habit, asked if he was hungry, if he wanted to eat with us. And though he said nothing, signaled neither yes or no when he grunted, coughed. My father nodded to me for help, and together with our arms on his torso, back, we lifted the limp mass he'd become, carried him to the table, as though we were dragging a soldier, a brother we try to comfort, knowing that no matter how much we whispered, hang on, whatever was left of him would never make it home. Thank you.